Folks, it's that time of the week again. It's time for a Jungle Drums. Sergeant J, unfortunately, is working a bit late this evening, but I will be joined by my good friend Gim Boyd as soon as he returns. Let me just muck with a few things here. Excuse me. Let's see, get some things in order first. We've got a bit of time. I need to make sure to change that. And right, should be good. Sorry about that. Right, so this evening, basically we've got, it's mostly gaming news this evening. I know the last few weeks, we've been quite tech heavy, and that's just been because of so many great developments, especially from AMD. Really been interested in all the Ryzen news, the upcoming Vega news, and then of course Intel has struck back a little bit with the news about i9. But enough about tech. Next week, if you know anything about gaming, you of course know that E3 is on its way. So I just wanted to bring up the first bit of news, which is from Tech Radar. And this is concerning everything you need to know about this year's gaming extravaganza. So basically, it's an opinion piece, and it's just talking about things that they would like to see. I mean, E3 is, of course, the world's biggest gaming show. Every June, the entire video game dev community and press all gather in Los Angeles to find out what the next year is going to bring. And so, for Nintendo, it sounds like this year's going to be a big one. They're still not going to host a traditional on-stage press conference. Funnily enough, Nintendo hasn't done one of those since 2012. I mean, that's 5 years ago. But so basically, Nintendo's going to kick off with a live stream at 9 a.m. Pacific on Tuesday, June 13th, which is going to focus on Super Mario Odyssey, a title that does look quite interesting. So it'll be neat to see what's happening with that. Also, there's big news with Splatoon 2 coming out. Obviously, there's ARMS, and fingers crossed there might be a Pokemon Stars reveal. But yeah, so it looks like Nintendo's got some interesting announcements, so that'd be quite good. Sony's press conference is going to be on June 12th at 6 p.m. Pacific. That's 9 p.m. Eastern for you folk, and then 2 a.m. for us over here in the UK. Sony, they always deliver just show-stopping presentations. I'm not a Sony user at the moment, but hey, I've had plenty of Sony devices over the years. The original PlayStation, the actual original one, where after a certain amount of time you had to turn it upside down in order to play games. It wouldn't read discs otherwise. Yep, had one of those. Had a PS2 and of course had a PSP. But so basically, hopefully they're going to be talking more about their hardware. I don't think they've really got much further to go. I don't know if maybe they're going to do a revision to the Pro, perhaps, or if the VR headset can be improved. I don't think so. I think we're set on Sony hardware. It'll be more interesting to see what kind of software they're going to bring to the table, specifically what games. Hopefully there'll be some good VR titles on the way. Now, of course, Microsoft, close to my heart. Yes, I am an Xbox user, but don't hold that against me. Microsoft also usually has a pretty good show at E3. This year, their conference is going to be on Sunday, and that's at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. for us over here. Excuse me. So what's interesting this year is the Microsoft E3 press conference is going to be right here on Mixer.com in 4K. That's great if you have a 4K display. If not, obviously you'll be able to just watch it like everyone else, all the rest of us plebs. But so we're hoping that there's going to be more Scorpio news. There's already been a lot of good information that's came out about Scorpio. There's been, more specs. Pricing is still not confirmed. I've seen a few good commentaries about pricing probably being around $399. So no doubt when it converts to our currency, they won't actually convert it, they'll just change the dollar symbol with the pound symbol. But, as there's been much commentary and speculation about the Scorpio, I think we can all agree that it does feel a bit early for, you know, kind of a, I hate saying a platform refresh because it's not. It's a platform upgrade. But, you know, I'm not necessarily convinced we need it right now. But then again, with some of the features it might bring to the table, you know, Microsoft's own VR, the 4K ability, the ability to stream at 4K, because as we can see, Mixer is capable of doing it, and hopefully Scorpios is going to have the codecs to realize that for us home users. So we'll see what they've got coming. Hopefully we'll get some Forza Motorsport 7 footage. Maybe this elusive Crackdown 3 that has been supposed to be coming out every year for the last however many years. And maybe some Battlefront 2 coverage. It'd be quite good. And then, of course, we've got all the other devs. You know, as they say every year, maybe we'll get a Half-Life 3 reveal. Don't hold your breath for that, folks. It's not going to happen, is it? Let's be honest. But hey, you know, EA is going to be there. No doubt there's going to be Activision with Bungie and everyone, so no doubt we'll get more Destiny 2 information. It wouldn't surprise me, and tell me what you think of this, Gim. Is it possible that Bungie might open up the Destiny 2 beta, like, as an E3 announcement, or is that just being a bit too optimistic?
It'll be a hell of a thing if they did, but yeah, maybe a bit too optimistic.
It's just because I was thinking of last year. You know how there was a lot of things that happened, like, you know, they did an announcement and they go, look, you can pre-order it now, and as if by magic it showed up on the dashboard. And so I just was wondering if maybe they would coincide. But then again, Bungie might do their thing. Yeah, the beta goes live for those folk who have pre-ordered, because we already know they're getting beta access early.
I'm just wondering how early and how long.
This is true. This is true. But anyway, we'll see. Bethesda is going to have a showcase at this year's show. You know, so there's going to be probably Quake Champions. There's rumors of getting to see Fallout 4 and Doom in VR. It's not a confirmed by any means, but it looks like it could be a possibility. I'm not sure if we can...
most likely won't be and definitely won't be a new Fallout yet, but there definitely almost certainly won't be a new Elder Scrolls announcement.
No, not with Morrowind just coming out. I mean...
Well, the ESO's completely different teams.
Yeah. But, we might get some Assassin's Creed news, possibly.
Well, it's about time. It keeps being leaked, so...
Yeah.
Just come out and say, okay, it's a thing.
It would be nice. It would be nice. But yeah, so that's a little intro to E3. We'll talk a little bit more about E3 at the end of the show. And then obviously next week, my plan is we're going to do an E3 special. So probably every single item we'll discuss next week is going to be E3 related, whether it's to do with games, whether it's to do with tech. Hopefully we just get some good material for next week. Right, so moving on to the next article. This article is from PC Gamer, and this is to do with For Honor. Allegedly, For Honor is shedding players, down 95% since launch, according to Steam stats. So keep in mind, this is specifically to do with PC numbers. I don't believe there was any console stats.
Because you can also get it on a...
Yeah, of course. Of course. You can get it on their...
You can't get their stats, though.
So basically, at launch, For Honor had 45,000 concurrent players. Which, to put this in a perspective, during the beta, there were 71,000. And basically, since release, it's just going down. As of last weekend, and again, we're talking about on Steam, because now, if you haven't seen already, you can go to Steam and see stats for games, live stats of, who's playing what. Really quite useful. But as of last weekend, For Honor was peaking at 3.4K. Which for an online game like that, a PvP online game, that is ridiculously small. And then I think it was just saying here that yesterday, so day before yesterday, it was down to 3.1. So it's shrinking, and it's a shame because For Honor, I mean, okay, I never picked it up. We did play the beta quite a bit.
Yeah.
And it was a game that I remember seeing the reveal for it at an E3 and thinking, this is going to be amazing. I mean, who wouldn't love knights, samurai, and Vikings all fighting together? The graphics were great and gritty. There looked like there was promise of a bit of a story in there. You know, they had that strange character, you know, who was kind of controlling all the chaos. It just looked really, really interesting. And I just felt it didn't deliver enough for me to purchase it. I mean, some of the things, I mean, we come back to this whole argument about peer-to-peer internet play. And I get it. Yes, it's cheaper. There's some limited benefits to doing it that way. But with that game, since it's so, you know, parrying and countering, timing is so key that I just don't think a peer-to-peer model works for that game specifically. And it's a shame because they've been trying to infuse it with more life, with more DLC, more new characters. I believe, did they put in more maps as well, Gim?
Yes, they did.
Right, so, you know...
Not sure how many, but...
You know, so they're trying their damnedest to give it a bit more life. And I know quite a few folk who still play For Honor, still enjoy it. But now it's to the point where, you know, there's so few people playing it that even consistently being able to matchmake against people is a bit of an issue. So it's quite interesting. The article poses a question at the end. You know, the question asks, what do you reckon Ubisoft needs to do in order to seduce players back to the arenas? And it's a good question. I can't say I have any idea, personally. I mean, I think it's a case of the damage has been done, has it not?
Yeah. I don't think they can recover, really.
No, I mean, there's been games that have recovered. I mean, not fully. I mean, you look at The Division. The Division had a diminishing kind of community, but then each time one of its big packs comes out, you see a surge. People come back to it, and then, okay, it dies down again. You know, even things... Well, we can't use Siege as an example because its numbers just keep growing. But I'm trying to think of other games that have had that issue where they've lost the numbers and did something to... You know, I can't think of any that have really recovered from... I mean, a 95% decrease? That's huge. I mean, what stopped it from being on your must-have list?
Well, it wasn't the game. It was seeming to be, because when they did all the E3 stuff, it was like, oh, look at this sort of like action game. It's like, yeah, it looks a bit like Dark Souls style combat, but it's all multiplayer and it's like multiple ways, and it's like big battles you're taking part in. And the reality was, it was a third-person fighting game with the mode they tried to push was you could get levels and just basically have more abilities than your opponent, and then there was just some pointless little AI things in the middle that you could just literally just walk through and ignore. Yeah.
No, I think it's the same. I think it was, you know, we've used this phrase so many times when we've talked about games, especially with Ubisoft games, but it's a game that had so much potential. I mean, I was honestly excited. I don't get hyped about games very often, but this is one of those games that as soon as I saw that first trailer for it, I just, you know, I was all over social media everywhere, go, oh, look at this is amazing. And I was really hoping for an amazing game, but then again, my problem is I'm more into story-driven games. You know, I mean, Siege and Overwatch are kind of the anomalies in my usual kind of game library. You know, I don't enjoy strictly PvP games most of the time. So I was hoping for a cool backstory and nice missions and everything, but you know, it's not. That's not what it is. It's a bit of a shame. Especially because it's still a glorious looking game. The graphics were just brilliant. And it's so visceral when you get into the combat and everything.
Its combat feels good. It's just partially not what it was promised to be, or what it seemed to be originally. And I don't know, the depth just isn't there.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. totally
I mean, the
agree
best
with
mode
you.
to experience the game as it is considered to be dual, and there's only so much you can play that, really.
That's a shame. You know, I mean, it's just Ubisoft. Your numbers are dropped, and I think you're just gonna have to deal with it. I'm afraid so. It's a shame. Speaking of games that have had diminishing numbers, let's talk about another game that, when it came out, this was another one that looked really quite interesting. One that, did we play the beta, I think?
Yes.
Yes, we played the beta. Ended up not buying it on launch, but then I ended up getting it on PC because it was part of a Humble Bundle. And that, of course, is Battleborn. And so this bit of news, you might have heard last week, there was all these headlines about Battleborn being free-to-play. Well, this article from WCCF Tech clears up a couple of things. You know, the Gearbox boss is saying that, hey, look, these free-to-play headlines are misleading. The game is still very much a retail game, you know, and DLC for it, but it also now has a free trial. So this is
Pitchwood is very much in denial.
Yes, I mean, I get, you know, I suppose it's subjective here, because on one hand, yes, you can download the game for free and you can play it for free. But the spin that they're trying to put on is that, well, no, it's like other free trials. It's a free trial. You know, you get unlimited access to all the competitive multiplayer modes and maps, but you don't get access to a whole bunch of other stuff. If you've already purchased the game, basically you're being upgraded to founder status, and so you get a whole slew of in-game items, loot packs. You can ask him. I spent 5 to 10 minutes opening all my loot packs that I got as a founder, and you get in-game item rewards, you know, credits. You get a founder's crown, you know. But so it was, I believe it was Kotaku who last week had put this big headline saying, look, Battleborn's now free to play. And so Randy Pitchford, the Gearbox boss, you know, basically got not so much in a tweet battle, but, you know, the closest thing, you know, saying that, hey, look, try to find it on first-party dashboards under free to play. Oh, you can't? But there's a demo trial option that's free? Ah, I see now. Demo/trial does not equal free to play. You know, so it gets into this silly argument where they're actually debating the definition of trial versus free to play. You know, how is unlimited free access to all of a game a free trial? You know, and then Randy pitches in. It's funny that Randy Pitchford pitches in, saying that, look, trial can either be a subset of content or a limitation on content, which is what we have here. Free to play is a ground up business model. And you know, that point that he brings to the table there is quite valid in my opinion. You know, it's true.
Well,
I mean, you have to, I think this is the argument. Just because a game doesn't cost money to play, as in, you know, you can play it for free, that does not equate to what in the industry they call an F2P or a free to play. And I think this is where this argument stems from. He's not arguing the fact that the game is free to play, but he's trying to, you know, argue the whole concept of no, don't put it in the free to play category, because that's a different animal. That's an actual model of a game, you know. And I can get his argument. I think it's somewhat splitting hairs on a point, but at the same time, you know, I get it, because he's saying, look, the business model for the game is DLC. You know, whereas if you think about free-to-play games, usually you're buying really, really small pieces, you know, like one character or a skin, you know, it's tiny, tiny little things. Whereas with this, it's not that way. It's actually, you know, you have to buy DLCs for full access and whatnot. So, again, part of me thinks it's splitting hairs, but the other part, I can understand why Randy is getting so defensive. You know, I mean, he brings up, he's saying, look, it's incorrect and makes us vulnerable to characterize it as free to play, given official classification with first party. You You know, so I think this is what he's trying to do. He was upset that the media was painting it as free to play, because in the game industry, that's actually a completely different section, or, you know, or genre, I guess. You know, or I suppose it's really classification. And I think that's what he was getting hung up on. But definitely reading through all of the arguments on Twitter, because at first, when I first saw the headline game, I was like, what? Oh, this is just stupid. It's free to play. But when you get into it and you start reading his, you know, his justification, so to speak, and saying it, look, we're not talking about from your point of view as a consumer. We're talking about the industry and how first parties view a game. I'm kind of on board with Randy there. You know, what do you think?
I disagree with being on board with Brandy. I think it's just his usual, typical bullshit that pours out of his mouth. This is the guy that said Aliens Colonial Marines was going to be a great game.
Tell you what, though, I had so much fun with that game. I played through the entire thing co-op with my nephews, and yeah, it was horrible.
Co-op, you get to laugh at it.
That's it. It was
that's
like
not the game being good.
It was an entire just a piss take. Like when you come across, you know, an NPC who's shooting at a wall and screaming, and you're like, what the fuck is he doing? What's going on here? But yeah,
I had to reload the whole level because an NPC stood in the doorway and refused to move.
Yes, yep, had that happen. Had
an alien just sort of run on the spot. Just, yeah.
Oh my.
But yeah. But this is just typical. I think he's found himself a nice little grey area where you can stick Battleborn, where it can be effectively free to play, but because he's holding back certain bits, little bits of the game, he can say, no, I haven't given up. I was right. Battleborn doesn't need to be free to play. I was right. I'm not wrong.
Okay. No, so, that's yeah. That's certainly valid. Yeah.
If it came from if it came from someone else, I'd be more inclined to listen to it. But Randy Pitchford is known for talking absolute horseshit. So I am not giving him the benefit of the doubt. He does not deserve it. He has not earned it.
Okay. No,
he's done quite the opposite.
That's fair enough. I mean, that's a completely valid point as well. It's
just because it's not technically free to play, it is effectively free to play. It is a free to play game, in my opinion. It's the core modes that are free. So
I suppose this has quite a bit to do with perception as well. If we've got the media is saying one thing, the dev himself saying another, and I suppose at the end of the day, it's really us, isn't it? It's the users, the consumers that have to kind of make that decision. You know, and if we classify it as free to play, then so be it. It's just a shame that, you know what angers me about Battleborn? I mean, okay, I honestly haven't played that much of it. That's mainly just because I have too many things to play. You know, it's oh god, it's ridiculous. And then look, I just buy more things. But anyway, Battleborn, really really cool concept. And what irritated me was because it launched at the same time as Overwatch, and people tried to compare two games that are of completely different genres. I mean, let's be honest, Battleborn is a MOBA-ish thing. It's not
first-person shooter MOBA.
Yeah, it's not
your lanes. You've got.
Yeah, I mean, you've got your lanes. It's cooperative. But Overwatch is an FPS Team Fortress Classic type thing, and it's just
a bad comparison. But you can see where people are going to make that comparison. You've got your characters, you've got these lively colours. It's like, oh, that looks like this. They look similar.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with the Blizzard one because it's Blizzard.
I think it's just a shame. I think if Battleborn had, I think the failure, and I hate saying failure because it's not really a failure, but I think by having to go to a free trial, obviously that shows a little bit. I think that's quite telling of its performance. But if they had just launched Battleborn at a different time, you know what I mean? Like if it had came out, either a few months later or a few months before, I don't think it would have accidentally got mixed up with Overwatch. But for some reason, the public just thought, oh, wait a minute, two games that are the same thing. Overwatch is made by Blizzard, so I'm going to go with that. I just.
Also, Blizzard they have the better characters by far.
Yeah. But, I mean, I like that. What I did play a hell of a lot was the Battleborn Tap app. That was awesome. That game was so cool.
That.
I've still got it on my phone. Still got it on there.
Another thing they could have done, if they had just gone straight off with a free-to-play model, it would have had players because it is a good game.
Yeah.
It's just
no, it's a shame.
It felt like they threw it out there to go against Overwatch, which is just
I just hope
taking out back with a shotgun.
It doesn't die. I mean, you look at Evolve. Evolve was another game that looked amazing. I mean, I remember I bought an issue of PC Gamer, and it's very seldom do I buy, you know, physical copies, especially because you can read stuff online. But the cover of it was Evolve, and it was way back when it was a preview, and the graphics just looked amazing. The concept looked amazing. I mean, I bought it as soon as it came out. I pre-ordered Evolve, and I did think it was an amazing game. Yeah, it had its flaws, especially if you were trying to play as hunters with randoms. It just, you know, horrible. And then you get people, if you were a monster, and if I don't mind saying myself, I was actually fairly decent as a monster, and you'd get people just rage quitting on you all the time. And the community just died. I mean, yeah, it had a bad kind of...
it was the marketing that probably killed it.
Yeah, and it had a bad reception when, as soon as it was released, there was, you know, hundreds of pounds worth of skins available to buy that people were pissed off about.
And you needed a spreadsheet to work out which pre-order would be best.
Yes, yes, the infamous Evolve spreadsheet. You know, but that's a game that so much promise, looked good, was quite good, community died, and then they re-released it, refreshed it. Oh look, Evolve Stage 2 free-to-play model, thinking, okay, this is going to reinvigorate some life, and sure enough, it got a little bit of attention. You saw people that were streaming it, and then what happens? I mean, it was only a case of months later. They said
the studio got shut down.
Yeah, they said that's it. We're not supporting.
Publisher just pulled the plug on them.
Such a shame.
They were trying to work on console versions of it, but
it's ironic that Evolve went extinct. There was no evolving.
It couldn't evolve. It tried, and then it was an evolutionary dead end in the video game industry.
Unreal. Oh, let's just a very tiny, well, a short tidbit. Again, some E3 speculation. This comes from Polygon, and this is something that I was actually looking forward to. I mean, I was talking about this with classmates, you know, saying, oh, look, we should be finding out, And we thought we were going to be finding out about Xbox VR at this year's E3. But this headline from Polygon is saying, hey, look, do not expect Xbox VR to be at E3 or even in stores this holiday. Now, if you hadn't heard about this whole... the VR stuff when it comes to Microsoft, there was supposed to be a lot of things happening this year. There was going to be some third-party releases, you know, Asus, Acer, Lenovo, Dell, HP, all of these companies were going to be bringing out VR headsets that were supposed to be quite good, quite competitive, but also very competitively priced. Because I know, like me personally, I would love to get a VR system. I've got a system that is capable of it, but the price of entry, the cost of entry for either an Oculus or a Vive, no, it's just a bit off-putting. But these new headsets were supposed to be much more affordable. And so, in addition to that, we were all expecting this word about Xbox VR, which I think... I mean, is it fair to say, again, that I think we're pretty much going to have to wait on Scorpio for VR? I mean, I don't think our one is going to give us a good good experience.
No.
I very much doubt it.
Don't want VR at 10 FPS. No, thank you.
So basically what they're saying is that this E3, look, there's nothing for the Xbox One or Scorpio going to be announced when it comes to VR this year. They're focused. There was going to be VR stuff at E3, but it's all going to be for computers, for PC. One thing that is interesting, and I don't know where the source of this was, but Polygon states that when VR does arrive on the Xbox console, potentially next year, so again, Scorpio, it sounds like it's going to be wireless. And that's
a big thing.
That is a huge thing, because you think of the bandwidth that's required, you know, to... I mean, okay, I suppose, okay, maybe this is it. We know that Microsoft, well, and Xbox have been doing all this streaming stuff, right? We both, I used to use it, you still use it, right? The Xbox streaming at home.
Yeah, I use it.
So maybe that's how this is going to work? Maybe the VR headset effectively just receives the video being streamed?
Yeah, true.
You know, is that... But in order to do that, is the headset itself maybe going to have to connect to Wi-Fi? Because I don't think that the normal wireless technologies or even Bluetooth is going to have the bandwidth to sustain HD video. I don't think. It'd be interesting. It'd be quite interesting.
Maybe there could be a dedicated connection with the Scorpio, seeing as it won't be on standard. Maybe they've got something in there.
That's a good call, Gim. Yeah, they very well may have some kind of special, maybe almost like a secondary Wi-Fi thing that doesn't, instead of connecting to your home network, it's just specific.
Direct.
Mm-hmm. We'll have to see. Hey, if that's the way it turns out, then we know we heard it here first from your mouth. You came up with that. And then we can always say if that's what they do, they actually stole the idea off of you. And hopefully you can try to get some money out of Microsoft.
Yeah.
We've got video
I'd sell
footage.
for a free VR.
Free VR.
Free VR. Free Scorpio. Give me.
But no, so again, it comes back to this year, Xbox, no doubt they're going to be focusing on Scorpio. So we're just going to have to wait a little while till we hear about the VR from Microsoft.
It is still very early days for VR. It's still too early for most.
Yeah.
It's not going to sell consoles. So they're doing the right thing, holding off till VR is more general.
Yes.
Hell, 4K is still a lot way off for some people.
Oh, big time. Again, the price of entry and, for what? Why buy a 4K TV right now? So, okay, Netflix and I think Amazon works with it. You need to have an Ultra HD Blu-ray player. So, okay, you could buy an Xbox One S, but again, for folk like us that have an Xbox One, are we really going to trade in our One to get an S and then go buy a 4K TV just for that? No, you're fine. We'll wait till it's a bit more...
Scorpio.
Yes.
And even then, I'd rather have an option to play it at 1080 with...
Yes, which of course, as we know, is the case.
That's what they want, which is... They're going to make a lot of happy people.
Oh god, yes.
There's a lot of PC players that won't touch the exclusives because they don't like playing below 60.
It's true.
The Scorpio could turn that around.
It'll be nice. It'll be nice. Right, let's go back to WCCF Tech. We use them as a source quite often. And this, of course, is to do with Elder Scrolls Online. Morrowind came out, and the headline reads, Elder Scrolls Online Morrowind Review. It's a magical place. So I don't want to spoil things too much here. Now, I haven't picked up Morrowind yet. I think it's only, is it not 30 quid, I believe, for us to buy the add-on as Elder Scroll owners. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think it's $29.99.
I haven't actually looked at the price. But yeah.
$29.99. But the thing is, I mean, we're not even done with Elder Scrolls. I mean, I still haven't got characters up to level cap and whatnot. But so anyway, when it comes to Morrowind, there was a lot of hope for this one. People were hyping it up, saying, "Oh wow, we finally get to return to Morrowind." It's going to be Vardenfell. This is going to be awesome. And of course, they were bringing up this new Warden character, which, I mean, the Warden was basically like a Beastmaster, right, Gim?
Yeah, seems that way.
You basically get an animal companion. I don't know, is there multiple animals you could choose from, or was it just the bear?
I've only seen the bear.
I think it's just the bear. But, quite similar in my mind to like a hunter in World of Warcraft. It looks like the Warden, you can use that bear as quite a good damage dealer and a tank. So I suppose that's quite handy. But so there's other things, you can do with these new skill lines they've got. You can combine a healing skill. so that way you could kind of be healing your bear while your bear kind of does all the work for you. So quite interesting. It looked good. The warden, they're saying it isn't really that overpowered. The primary classes, you know, the OG classes, Dragon Knight for the win, you know, still have an advantage. You know, but it's a good character. The thing, you know, again, this is just my opinion. Since I haven't played it yet, I haven't bought it. Probably won't be anytime soon, to be perfectly honest. But it seems like the reception to Morrowind, the hype was real. The hype was really at a high level. And it seems like the reception's just kind of lukewarm. Is that fair to say, Gim?
Well, it's not negative. It's just not really positive either. It's sort of middle of the road, it seems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not a bad expansion. It's just an expansion. It's just more game.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
They
I
were
mean,
trying to play on the nostalgia factor, but
yeah. I mean, Polygon here, they gave it a 7.5, you know, basically stating that, hey, look, it offers some great quest lines and a fantastic nostalgia trip for those familiar with Vardenfell. Obviously, it feels a lot emptier, with monsters being simply unexciting and the new PvP being abysmally imbalanced. The new Warden class, however, offers an interesting new way to play. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the thing. If you know, if you're paying another 30 quid for this expansion, which you would think generally in MMOs, expansions are a huge big deal. And okay, I'm not trying to say that Vardenfell isn't a small area by any means, but when you're getting this description of stating that, hey, look, it's actually, you know, quite sparse, it's quite empty. Okay, you get a new class, and then, you know, a new type of battleground. It seems like even content-wise, it's maybe not as heavy as a lot of people thought it was going to be. It's kind of a shame. Hopefully it'll,
maybe they'll patch some stuff in there.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, you know, it's obviously entering a new cycle for their content, so maybe this is kind of like the base, and then, I mean, because let's be honest, for Elder Scrolls Online already, there was a lot of content that's came out after release, which, you know, with me being a, I always had my, oh, what was that called again? Was it Premium or? I can't remember.
Plus.
Yeah, ESO Plus, that's right. So I was getting all those deals, access to them all for free. Well, not for free because I was paying for them, but you know what I mean. Instead of having to purchase them with the in-game currency, I just had access to them. But I never really touched them. There was the one that had the, oh god, what zone was that? The one with the kind of...
Orsinium?
Yes, Orsinium, that's the one. And that was horribly bugged, because every time I went to Orsinium, I basically got there, and then I would last about 30 seconds, then the game would crash. So I'd log back in, get in there, and honestly, I kept trying to run to a travel point just so I could try to get out of it. But every time, 30 seconds crash, 30 seconds crash. You know, I would move just a few feet. Finally, I just had to put in a ticket saying, look, Orsinium's broke. My character's stuck. Can you please get me the hell out of there? And I've never went back since. No doubt there's no issues anymore. But yeah, it's a shame. I mean, Elder Scrolls Online, I wanted to love it. Because let's be honest, most gamers, we've touched on an Elder Scrolls title at some point. If you've ever played an RPG, you've no doubt jumped in to the world of Tamriel at some point, whether it was Morrowind, whether it was Oblivion, whether it was Skyrim. And to have that as an MMO, it was just a dream come true. You think this is going to be amazing. And honestly, it wasn't. Not initially. It's gotten better over time. It just, I think it still needs, I don't know what it's missing. You know, I can't put my finger on it, but it feels to me, again, that it's missing something. But I just don't know what.
All the depth of an Elder Scrolls game.
Can't argue with that.
The main problem is it is an MMO based in the Elder Scrolls universe, not an Elder Scrolls game that's been made into an MMO.
True. True.
And I don't think you could ever really get that though.
No, I think it does feel a lot of the... I mean, don't get me wrong, there were some good storylines in it, but at the same time, there was a lot of just doing the same thing, but for different races. A lot of go here, grab this, bring it back. A lot of go there, kill it. And yes, I get it. MMOs, they tend to do that anyway, but for me, it just felt even more samey. You know, at least in some other MMOs, they put different spins on it or something. I don't know, but it definitely was... It was missing something.
And as soon as you call yourself an MMO, you're throwing yourself against WoW. Which
Well,
had 10 years to make its content good.
That is very, very tricky. Very
It's like
tricky.
a daytime cartoon trying to compete with The Simpsons. They've been doing it longer. They already done it.
Right, a little bit more about E3 actually. An article just went up today on good old scholarlygamers.com, and this is by the original PSP, Patrick Scott Patterson. If you know anything about retro gaming or gaming video game history, then no doubt you have heard of the name Patrick Scott Patterson. He is a activist, he's a curator, a very good retro, video game history museum, and you'll see him online. He's a 35-year veteran of the video game world. He's older than me. His first gaming experience was quite a few years before mine, and he's put up this amazing article on scholarlygamers.com, and it's titled "Confessions of an At-Risk Video Game Industry Cynic," and basically he's just given his opinion of E3, what he's hoping to get from it, because he's stating that he's going into it quite cynical. E3 was always one of his favorite times of the year. He's lucky enough because he's in the industry, he tends to go to them every year. He was just, it's quite interesting. I don't want to spoil the article, just go to scholarlygamers.com, it'll be right there on the front page. And it's a really, really good read. And it got me thinking quite a bit myself about, what do I hope to actually hear about this year at E3? What do I want? And I suppose there's no chance of seeing anything about maybe Scalebound being brought back to life. That's unfortunate. I don't know if... We had never really talked about this, Gim, but the Microsoft had actually renewed the trademark for Scalebound, right? Quite a while back, and it was funny seeing people on the internet, going, "Oh wow, look, hey, they're gonna bring it back. They're gonna bring it back." No, they're not gonna bring it back. Do you know why they did that? They've done that so it can't be brought back. They killed it, and they want to make sure that Platinum was the dev, right?
Yeah.
They want to make sure
they make good games.
Yeah, and they do. They make absolutely tremendous games. But them renewing basically their license or their ownership of the name, honestly, I think it was just their way to block anyone else. Because let's be honest, in my opinion, if Sony had picked it up and made it, like a PlayStation exclusive, holy crap, that could have been catastrophic. Well, maybe not catastrophic, maybe I'm being a bit over the top there, but it could have made a huge impact with the Scorpio release coming up. Can you imagine if Scalebound was on on the PlayStation Pro and it looked amazing, and Sony actually just gave Platinum Games the time it needed to polish the game up? But yeah,
they probably would.
They probably would, because when it comes to that, I've seen some really good commentary about the what actually happened, and a lot of it seems to be this problem of East meets West, where the creativity of the Eastern devs was being somewhat stifled by the CEOs or the bean counters of the West, who are all about deadlines and this, and oh no, you can't push it back, that's going to cost us this much money, whereas Platinum just wanted to make the best possible product they could. But anyway, so no, so we won't be probably hearing anything about Scalebound at this E3, unfortunately. But things that we might hear about, I mean, I want more news about Scorpio. Not just about the hardware, because I think they've pretty much, they've revealed as much as they can about that.
I think I saw a tweet where they basically squeezed out another gigabyte of RAM on it.
Yes. Well, even did you see the dev kits that they released, and they've got, I think, double the RAM of the consumer device. But no, I want to. Hopefully, we'll hear about price. That would be amazing if they could come out with price and put all these rumors to bed. That would be outstanding. Price would be nice, but also games. I mean, our own Grant Patterson, the managing editor, well, the editor-in-chief at Scholarly Gamers, he brought up a really good point, saying that, look, Scorpio, all this hardware is great, blah, 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 but it's software that's going to make or break it. Microsoft, Xbox specifically, needs to really kind of up their game a little bit with exclusive titles. They've got a lot of life, out of Gears of War and Halo and whatnot, but that's kind of,
They basically squeezed the life out of those now.
Yeah, there's no more,
I tried playing Halo 5 again on the Game Pass trial.
Oh, did you?
2 games and thought, yeah, this isn't Halo. Just turn it off. Just installed it.
No, I think you're right. They've just kind of they've ran their course, so they need something new. They need a new injection. Crackdown 3 could be something, but considering that has been delayed year after year, I wouldn't count my chickens on that one. But no, I mean, what else? What else am I really looking forward to? Oh, of course, the Kojima game.
It's not going to be at E3, apparently.
Is it not?
No, he put out a tweet saying it's not going to be
you
there.
have just completely ruined my hopes and dreams. Tread carefully, because you tread upon my dreams. I was really looking forward to that. Even if it was just another trailer, that would have been cool. Just another trailer. Because that cryptic trailer last year was amazing. Then again, I've got a soft spot for Mads Mikkelsen. I love him in Hannibal and other shows. Oh, it's such a...
He's a great actor.
He really, really is. But no, I mean, besides Scorpio news, and well, now Death Stranding, but that dream's gone.
Assassin's Creed, I want to see.
I think Assassin's Creed. There's
this
year
rest for a while, so they might come back.
Yeah, well, that's because remember they changed their model from that kind of annual. Because they had a message and they came out and they said, "Look, we're no longer going to have our usual kind of life cycle. We want to instead extend it for more quality products." Blah 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 blah. But no, I find myself this year not being as hyped for E3 as usual. There tends to usually be, oh wow, I can't wait to hear more about this, that, or that. And honestly,
it's because most of the big announcements are spread out over other cons now as well.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Nintendo just do their own thing with their directs as well, so that's another chunk out of it.
Mm-hmm.
It no longer holds the crown of we have everything. It's a lot of companies just doing their own stuff now. Like Bungie did their announcement stuff, just streaming. Twitch is doing a lot of it, so
yeah.
And we'll get a lot of it in here on Beam as well now. So,
well, I mean that's the thing. I mean, it's quite interesting looking at this. How obviously Microsoft is moving, or Xbox moving to this. They're really, really pushing Mixer. Hence, all of their kind of broadcasts from E3 are going to be on Mixer. I mean, if anyone's booted up their Xbox One in the last 24 hours, you might notice you now have a Mixer tab on your homepage. You've got Home, then now it says Mixer, and then you've got the rest of the tabs. But the like you say, it looks like people like Bungie and maybe Activision, I think they have a deal with Twitch that kind of prevents them from doing, their kind of live streaming. This is the thing, so things that we don't know about. The backdoor kind of, back office deals and everything, but it does look like Twitch has quite a few kind of exclusivity deals with certain devs, and that makes sense. I mean, you look at Twitch now, and you have the ability to purchase games directly from Twitch.
Yeah.
You know, so I can get it, but it'll be interesting to see. I think, you know, we're gonna get one of the things I'm hoping they're gonna announce is the Scorpio being able to stream at 4K, because it just seems like the technology's there, the hardware's there. I believe it's going to be capable, and I think that's going to be this race. I know I've said it before, but I think there's going to be this race to streaming at 4K between Twitch and Beam. I mean Mixer. See, it's still Beam to me as well. Which, okay, Mixer's kind of already won because there's already 4K streams. Usually it's only at these big events. You know, people, your average person doesn't have a computer that's capable of streaming at 4K. And hell, our consoles, you know, they don't even really output at 4K. But no,
Scorpio will be doing native 4K games.
Yep. So I think that's going to be able to do it. So no, I think that's my only big thing I'm looking forward to is more Scorpio news. That's about the only thing I can think of. What about you, Gim? You've got surely some things that you're quite looking forward to.
I just want to see some new IPs. Maybe see what From's going to bring. So working on something, they're just not telling us what.
Hopefully better than Recore. Remember, that was the last big IP for Microsoft, was Recore.
I didn't expect much from that personally.
It looked cool. I thought it was going to be kind of like a, you know, like a Mario for Xbox or something. But it was kind of tried to be a Metroid slash, I don't know. Has that new version came out yet? The freaking definitive edition, or?
It's not anywhere on my radar, so I have no idea.
Re-releasing the game. Oh my.
But I do want to see what From Software is doing.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll surprise us and they'll go back to Armored Core.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Oh yeah,
Most
no, Forza 7. I'm interested to see Forza 7 if we're going to get snippets of that. Because you know me, I mean, I like my racing games. Even so, again, I'm not playing enough of them. But Forza 6 was huge when it came to the physics. I mean, the Forza games always had good physics, well, aside from 1 and 2. But 3 onwards, you know, they've had good graphics, good physics. But in 6, they really went to the next level where by introducing weather effects, and they actually accurately mapped with lasers how the rain settled and flowed on racetracks. And so in game you get actually accurate, you know, where the puddles usually tend to be and all that kind of stuff. So with Forza 6 they really raised the bar. So it'll be quite interesting to see if 7, you know, what more is there? What can they do? Are they going to have, I don't know, more advanced tire physics maybe? Because I don't think the tire wear's necessarily represented quite as well. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see anyway.
More DLC car packs.
Yeah, that is the down.
Says.
Yeah, you're right. It is a downside of it. It definitely is a downside. All the DLC packs.
That's where all these yearly games like
the Porsche expansion and etc. But then you get, you know,
get you as well, that sort of stuff. You
get these Muppets who just go ahead and buy them. Although, to be fair, I did wait till they were heavily discounted. That was the only reason I bought them. I remember saying like, "Oh, hey, look, what, £4? Yep, I'll take that."
Another thing, Star Wars Battlefront 2, which looks like it's actually going to be a proper game.
You are right.
Not just Battlefield reskinned this time.
How could I forget about Battlefront 2? That does look like it isn't going to be.
It might be an actual Battlefront game.
It could be. Could be.
Not a Battlefield just typoed and put Star Wars on it.
Oh, that'd be nice. We shall have to see. Well, hopefully for next week we'll have a little bit more meat. You know, we've done a lot of speculation of what we're hoping to hear, and I realize E3 won't be finished by the time we're here next week, but hopefully we'll have a bit more news, a bit more information. But that's the plan for next week's.
Be done by them, won't they?
It should be. Most of the big ones will be over, I would imagine. So hopefully we'll have some good info.
Sunday's Microsoft, Monday is Sony's, and
yeah,
Nintendo's doing stuff on the Tuesday.
Indeed.
I think
Indeed.
publishers should have done their stuff on it as well. So.
Well, I mean, that is it for this week. Thank you so much if you happen to pop in. Remember that Jungle Drums is filmed every Thursday here on Mixer at 9 p.m. UK time. Obviously, you can also see it on demand via Mixer, or you can go to YouTube and see it, or you can, of course, see it right here on scholarlygamers.com. However you're watching it, thank you for watching, and make sure to tune in next week for our E3 special. Hopefully we'll have some big, tasty news for you. In the meantime, guys and gals, you have a great time. Gim, thank you so much, sir, for your time this evening. Always a pleasure.
Go sleep now.
And we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.
Bye.